My name is Lydia Kerrigan, and this is the story of how I learned that some wounds take years to heal, but revenge can be served with a smile and a check that changes everything. When I was 16 years old, I learned two devastating truths that would shape the rest of my life. First, family does not always mean loyalty. Second, betrayal burns deepest when it comes wrapped in a hug and delivered with tears that you believe are real. Let me take you back to that moment. The moment everything changed. It was a cold November evening when I received the phone call that shattered my world into a million pieces. My parents were gone. Just like that. A car accident on a rainy highway. No warning. No goodbyes. No chance to tell them I loved them one last time. I was 16. A junior in high school. I had dreams of college, of becoming someone they would be proud of. My father always said I had a head for numbers. My mother said I had a heart for helping people. They had saved every penny they could for my education. I knew that. I heard them talking about it late at night when they thought I was asleep. Sacrifices they made so I would not have to struggle the way they did. And then they were gone. At the funeral, my Aunt Miriam Cole stood beside me, her arm around my shoulders, tears streaming down her perfectly made-up face. She was my mother's younger sister. Charming. Confident. The kind of woman who walked into a room and made everyone believe she had everything figured out. She wore expensive clothes, drove a nice car, and always had a smile that could convince you the sky was green if she wanted it to be. "I will take care of you, sweetheart," she whispered to me as we stood over my parents' graves. "You are like my own daughter now. I promise you everything will be okay." I believed her. God help me, I believed every single word. I moved into Aunt Miriam's house that same week. She lived in a nice neighborhood, the kind with manicured lawns and houses that all looked the same. Her husband, Uncle Greg, was quiet and kind. He worked long hours as an engineer and barely said much when he was home. Their daughter, Rachel, was 5 years younger than me. A sweet kid with big brown eyes and a shy smile. She looked up to me immediately, following me around like a puppy, asking me questions about high school and boys and makeup. For a while things seemed normal. Or as normal as they could be after losing everything. Aunt Miriam cooked dinner every night. She asked about my homework. She drove me to school. She told me stories about my mother when they were young, stories that made me laugh and cry at the same time. But there was something underneath it all. Something I could not quite name. A tension in her smile. A sharpness in her eyes when she thought I was not looking. I told myself I was imagining it. That grief was making me paranoid. I was wrong. A year passed. I was 17 now, preparing to apply for universities. My grades were excellent. I had spent countless nights studying, determined to make my parents proud, determined to honor the sacrifices they had made. One afternoon, I went to the bank with the account information my parents had left for me in their will. The college fund. The one they had spent 15 years building dollar by dollar, paycheck by paycheck. The banker, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, looked at her computer screen and frowned. "I am sorry, dear," she said slowly, "but this account, it is empty." My heart stopped. "What do you mean empty?" She turned the screen toward me. Transaction after transaction. Withdrawals. Large ones. All made over the past 8 months. All authorized by Miriam Cole, my legal guardian. $50,000. Gone. My entire future. Everything my parents had worked for. Everything they had sacrificed. Stolen. I could not breathe. I sat in that bank staring at the screen, feeling like the floor had opened up beneath me and I was falling into a darkness I could not escape. When I finally made it back to Aunt Miriam's house, I found her in the kitchen, humming as she chopped vegetables for dinner. "How was your day, sweetheart?" she asked brightly. I stared at her. This woman who had promised to protect me. This woman who had looked me in the eyes at my parents' funeral and told me I was like her own daughter. "I went to the bank today," I said quietly. Her knife paused for just a fraction of a second. Then she continued chopping, her smile never faltering. "Oh? What for?" "My college fund. The account my parents left for me." She set down the knife and turned to me, wiping her hands on a towel. Her expression was perfectly composed. "Ah, yes. I was going to talk to you about that." "You stole it," I whispered. "I did not steal anything, Lydia," she said, her voice taking on a defensive edge. "I borrowed it. For an investment. A business opportunity that was too good to pass up. I was going to pay it back before you needed it. When? My voice was shaking now. When were you going to pay it back? I am applying for college now. She sighed like I was being unreasonable. These things take time, Lydia. You are young. You do not understand how investments work. Trust me, this will benefit all of us in the long run. That money was not yours to take. Her eyes hardened. I am your guardian. I make the financial decisions. And quite frankly, after everything I have done for you, you should be grateful I took you in at all. The words hit me like a slap. Grateful. I should be grateful that she stole my future. I did not confront her again. What was the point? She had the law on her side. She was my guardian. The money was in an account she had access to. There was nothing I could do. So I swallowed the rage. I buried the betrayal deep inside where it could not hurt me anymore. And I made a decision. I would survive this. I would succeed. Not because of her. Not despite her. But without her. I worked 3 jobs during my senior year of high school. I waitressed at a diner on weekday evenings. I babysat on weekends. I did online data entry late at night after finishing my homework. I applied for every scholarship I could find. I wrote essays until my fingers cramped. I begged teachers for recommendation letters. And when the acceptance letters came, when I got into a good university with enough financial aid to make it possible, I did not tell Aunt Miriam. I just left. I packed my bags, took the little money I had saved, and moved into a dorm room that smelled like cleaning supplies and old carpet. Aunt Miriam called me once. You are making a mistake, she said coldly. You will fail without family to support you. I hung up, and I proved her wrong. 4 years later, I graduated at the top of my class with a degree in finance. I had worked the entire time. Internships, part-time jobs, networking events where I smiled until my face hurt, and shook hands with people who could open doors for me. It was exhausting. It was lonely. But I did it. And I built a career. I became a financial consultant, the kind people called when they had made a mess of their money and needed someone to fix it. I was good at it. Really good. I understood numbers, yes, but more than that, I understood people. I understood desperation. I understood betrayal. And I used that understanding to build a company. By the time I was 30, I was successful. Not just comfortable. Successful. The kind of successful that came with a corner office and a salary that would have made my parents weep with pride. I thought about them every single day. And I thought about Aunt Miriam too. Oh, I thought about her a lot. Then one evening I received an email. From Rachel Cole. Miriam's daughter. My cousin. The subject line read, "Help with college?" I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Hi Lydia. I hope this email finds you well. I know we have not talked in years and I am sorry about that. Mom does not really talk about you much and I never understood why. I am applying for universities now and financial aid is complicated. Mom mentioned that you work in finance and that you have done really well for yourself. I was wondering if you might have some advice? Or know any resources that could help. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Rachel. I read the email 3 times. Rachel. The sweet little girl who used to follow me around. Who used to ask me to braid her hair and tell her stories before bed. She was 18 now. The same age I was when I left. And she needed help. From me. The irony was almost poetic. I could have ignored the email. I could have deleted it and moved on with my life. But something stopped me. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the memory of that scared little girl who had nothing to do with her mother's sins. Or maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of a plan I did not even know I was forming yet. I replied, "Hi Rachel. Of course I remember you. I would be happy to help. Let us meet for coffee this weekend and talk about your options. Lydia." We met at a small cafe near the university she was hoping to attend. Rachel walked in and I almost did not recognize her. She was not a little girl anymore. She was tall, with long brown hair pulled back in a ponytail. She wore jeans and a university sweatshirt, and she looked nervous. When she saw me, her face lit up. Lydia. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for meeting me. We hugged, and I felt something twist in my chest. She was kind. Genuine. Nothing like her mother. We sat down, ordered coffee, and she pulled out a folder full of documents. Financial aid forms, scholarship applications, tuition estimates. It is just overwhelming, she admitted. Mom keeps saying we will figure it out, but she does not really have the money, and I do not want to take out massive loans if I can avoid it. I listened. I asked questions. And as she talked, I saw myself in her. The hope, the dreams, the desperation to make something of herself. And I made a decision. What if I paid for it? I said quietly. Rachel stopped mid-sentence. What? Your tuition. What if I paid for it? All of it. Her eyes went wide. Lydia, I could not ask you to do that. You are not asking. I am offering. But, why? I smiled. Because I know what it is like to need help and not have it. And because I believe in second chances. Tears filled her eyes. I do not know what to say. Say yes. On one condition. She nodded quickly. Anything. You intern at my company for 2 years after you graduate. Paid, of course. But I want you to learn. I want you to understand finance, business responsibility. Deal. She grabbed my hand across the table. Deal. Oh my God, Lydia, thank you. Thank you so much. When I told Aunt Miriam, she cried. Actual tears. She called me, her voice thick with emotion. Lydia, I do not even know what to say. You are an angel. Truly. After everything. You are helping Rachel. You have such a good heart. I smiled into the phone. Family takes care of family, Aunt Miriam. Is that not what you always said? There was a brief pause. Yes, she said softly. Yes, that is exactly right. I learned from the best, I said sweetly. And I hung up. Rachel thrived in university. She called me often, updating me on her classes, her friends, her life. She sent me pictures of her dorm room, her textbooks, her first A on a major exam. She was happy, and I was patient, because the best revenge is not loud. It is not explosive. It is quiet, strategic, inevitable. 2 years after Rachel graduated, she started her internship at my company. She was bright, hardworking, eager to learn. I gave her projects, responsibilities, access to files and systems. And one day, about 6 months into her internship, she came into my office. Her face was pale. Lydia, she said quietly, I need to talk to you about something. I looked up from my computer. What is it? She set a folder on my desk. I was organizing old financial files for the audit, and I found this. I opened the folder. Inside were documents from years ago. Account statements. Transaction records. My parents' college fund. The withdrawals. All authorized by Miriam Cole. I looked up at Rachel. She was staring at me, tears in her eyes. This is your money, she whispered. The money my mom took. The money that was supposed to be for your college. I said nothing. Did you? Did you know? When you offered to pay for my tuition, did you know I would find this? I leaned back in my chair. I knew you were smart enough to figure it out eventually. Her hands were shaking. Why did you not tell me? Because some truths are more powerful when you discover them yourself. She sat down, covering her face with her hands. I do not understand. Why would she do that? Why would she take your money and then just act like everything was fine? Because people justify their own actions, Rachel. They tell themselves stories that make them the hero. Your mother convinced herself she deserved that money more than I did. But you still helped me, even after what she did. I smiled sadly. You are not your mother, Rachel. You never were. Rachel confronted Miriam that weekend. I was not there. I did not need to be. Rachel told me later that her mother denied it at first, then made excuses, then got angry. How dare you question me? Miriam had shouted. After everything I have done for you? You stole from her, Rachel had said quietly. From Lydia. From someone who lost everything. And you used that money for a car. For a vacation. For nothing. She turned out fine, did she not? Miriam had snapped. She turned out fine despite you. Not because of you. Their relationship fractured that day. Quietly. Completely. Like a glass house finally collapsing under the weight of too many lies. Rachel stayed at my company. After her internship, I offered her a full-time position leading a new division I was creating. It was called Second Chances, a youth financial literacy program designed to help kids from difficult backgrounds understand money, budgeting, investing, to give them the tools I had to learn the hard way. Rachel was perfect for it. She poured her heart into it, and it grew. Within 3 years, we were operating in 5 states, helping thousands of young people build futures that nobody could steal from them. Every time I watched Rachel speak at an event, teaching kids about financial independence, I felt something close to peace. Not because I had gotten revenge, but because I had taken something broken and built something beautiful from it. Aunt Miriam still sends me Christmas cards every year. They arrive in expensive envelopes with embossed return addresses. She writes cheerful messages about her life, her health, her grandchildren. She never mentions the money. She never apologizes. She just pretends that everything is fine, that we are family, that the past is the past. And every year I write back. One line. Always the same. You taught me everything I needed to know about money, and payback. Lydia Kerrigan. I sign it. I mail it. And I smile. Because she knows. She knows exactly what I mean. And she knows there is nothing she can do about it. People ask me sometimes if I regret helping Rachel. If I regret giving her the opportunities her mother stole from me. And I tell them the truth. No, not for a single second. Because Rachel was never the enemy. She was collateral damage in someone else's war. And I refuse to become the kind of person who punishes the innocent for the sins of the guilty. That is what Miriam did. She took from me because it was convenient. Because she could. Because she convinced herself I would be fine without it. But I refused to repeat that cycle. Instead, I broke it. There are nights when I still think about my parents. About the life they wanted for me. The dreams they had. I think about how proud they would be now. Not because of the money I make. Not because of the success I have achieved. But because I chose to be different. I chose to be better. And that, more than anything, is the real victory. The thing about betrayal is that it teaches you lessons you never wanted to learn. It shows you who people really are when they think nobody is watching. It reveals the cracks in relationships you thought were solid. But it also gives you something unexpected. Clarity. Strength. The knowledge that you can survive things you never thought possible. When Aunt Miriam took my college fund, she thought she was taking my future. But what she actually did was force me to build a better one. One that did not depend on anyone else. One that could not be stolen. And in doing so, she gave me the greatest gift of all. She taught me that I did not need her. I did not need her approval. I did not need her help. I did not need anything from her. And that realization set me free. Rachel and I have coffee once a month now. We talk about work-life dreams. She tells me about the kids she is helping through the Second Chances program. The ones who remind her of me. The ones who have been knocked down but refused to stay down. They are so resilient, she says, her eyes bright with passion. They have been through so much, but they keep fighting. Keep believing things can get better. Sounds familiar, I say with a smile. She reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. Thank you, she says quietly, for giving me a chance when you had every reason not to. You deserved it, Rachel. You always did. I just wish. She trails off, staring into her coffee. What? I wish my mom had been different. I wish she had been the person she pretended to be. I nod slowly. I understand that. But you cannot change other people, Rachel. You can only decide who you want to be. She looks up at me. Who do you want to be? I think about it for a moment. Someone who breaks cycles instead of repeating them. Someone who builds bridges instead of burning them. Someone who proves that kindness is not weakness. She smiles. I think you already are that person, Lydia. Last month I received an invitation. Rachel was getting married. The wedding was beautiful. A small ceremony in a garden, surrounded by close friends and the people who truly mattered to her. I sat in the second row watching her walk down the aisle, radiant and happy. Miriam was there too, of course. She sat in the front row, dabbing at her eyes with a handkerchief, playing the role of the proud mother. Our eyes met once across the aisle. She gave me a tight smile. I returned it. And in that moment I realized something. I had won. Not because I had hurt her. Not because I had exposed her, but because I had built a life she could never touch. A life filled with purpose, meaning, success. A life my parents would have been proud of. And no amount of money she could steal would ever change that. After the ceremony, during the reception, Rachel pulled me aside. "There is something I want to tell you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "What is it?" "When I have kids someday, I want to name my daughter after you." Tears sprang to my eyes. "Rachel, you do not have to." "I want to," she interrupted. "Because you showed me what real family looks like. Not the people you are related to by blood, but the people who show up when it matters. Who help you when they do not have to. Who believe in you when nobody else does." I hugged her tightly. "I am so proud of you," I whispered. "I would not be here without you." "Yes, you would," I said firmly. "You are strong, Rachel. You always have been. I just gave you a chance to prove it." As I drove home that night, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. The pain. The betrayal. The long nights working multiple jobs. The moment I decided to help Rachel despite everything her mother had done. And I realized something profound. Revenge is not about destroying the person who hurt you. Real revenge is building a life so beautiful, so successful, so full of love and purpose that their betrayal becomes irrelevant. It is proving that they did not break you. They just made you stronger. I still run my company. Still help people navigate the complex world of finance. Still watch Rachel lead the Second Chances program with passion and dedication. And every day I remember where I came from. The scared 16-year-old girl who lost everything. Who was betrayed by the person who promised to protect her. Who had every reason to give up, to become bitter, to let the darkness win. But who chose differently. Who chose to fight, to build, to create something meaningful from the ashes of her old life. There is a quote I keep on my desk. It says, "The best revenge is massive success." But I would add to that. The best revenge is massive success and using that success to help others. Because when you lift someone else up, when you give them opportunities they would not have otherwise had, when you break the cycle of pain and betrayal, that is when you truly win. Not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after you. Aunt Miriam will never understand that. She will never understand why I helped Rachel. Why I paid for her education after what Miriam did to me. In her mind it is weakness. Stupidity. She probably thinks I am a fool. But I do not care what she thinks anymore. Because I know the truth. I know that helping Rachel was not about Miriam at all. It was about choosing the kind of person I wanted to be. The kind of person my parents raised me to be. And that choice, more than any amount of money, is what defines success. Sometimes people ask me for advice. Young people who have been hurt. Who have been betrayed by family or friends. Who do not know how to move forward. And I tell them this. Your pain is real. Your anger is valid. But do not let it define you. Do not let the person who hurt you have that much power over your life. Instead, use that pain as fuel. Let it drive you to become better, stronger, more successful than they ever imagined you could be. And when you get there, when you have built something beautiful from the ruins they left behind, that is when you will truly be free. Because freedom is not about forgiveness. It is not about forgetting. It is about refusing to let the past control your future. My parents left me money, yes. But more importantly, they left me values. Integrity. Hard work. Compassion. The belief that education could change your life. Aunt Miriam took the money, but she could not take those values. Those were mine to keep. And I used them to build an empire. Not of wealth, though that came too. But of purpose. Of impact. Of legacy. The Second Chances program has grown beyond anything I imagined. We have helped over 10,000 young people now. Kids from broken homes. Kids who aged out of foster care. Kids whose parents could not or would not help them. We teach them about budgeting, credit, investing. We help them apply for scholarships. We connect them with mentors. We give them the tools they need to build futures that nobody can steal. And every time I see one of them graduate, get their first job, buy their first home, I think of my parents. And I know they are proud. Last week, I spoke at a conference for financial advisors. The topic was ethical wealth management. During the Q&A, someone asked, "Have you ever had a client who betrayed your trust? And if so, how did you handle it?" I smiled. "Yes," I said. And I handled it by building something so successful that their betrayal became irrelevant. Because at the end of the day, the best response to someone who doubts you, who hurts you, who steals from you, is to prove them wrong. Not with words, but with action, with results, with a life well lived. The audience applauded, but I was not thinking about them. I was thinking about that scared 16-year-old girl, the one who stood in a bank, staring at an empty account, feeling like her world had ended. I wish I could go back and tell her, it is going to be okay. Better than okay. You are going to build something incredible from this pain. You are going to help thousands of people. You are going to create a legacy that matters. And the person who hurt you, they are going to watch from the sidelines, powerless, as you rise higher than they ever could have imagined. But I cannot go back. All I can do is keep moving forward. Keep building. Keep helping. Keep proving that betrayal does not have to destroy you, can transform you, if you let it. Rachel called me yesterday. Guess what? She said, her voice bubbling with excitement. What? We just got approved for expansion. Second Chances is going national. We are going to be in all 50 states by next year. I felt tears prick my eyes. Rachel, that is incredible. It is because of you, Lydia. None of this would exist without you. It exists because of you, I corrected gently. You are the one doing the work. You are the one changing lives. We are doing it together, she said softly. Like family. And there it was. The word that used to hurt so much. Family. But Rachel had given it a new meaning. Not the family you are born into, but the family you choose. The family you build through trust, respect, and love. I have been thinking lately about what I want my legacy to be. Not the money. Not the awards or recognition. But the impact. The lives changed. The cycles broken. The young people who will go on to build their own empires, help their own communities, create their own legacies. That is what matters. That is what lasts. And that is what Aunt Miriam will never understand. Because to her it was always about the money, the car, the vacation, the material things. But to me it was always about something deeper. Purpose, meaning, making sure that what happened to me never happens to anyone else if I can prevent it. I visited my parents' graves last month. It had been a while. I brought flowers and sat on the grass, talking to them the way I used to when I was young. I did it, I said quietly. I built the life you wanted for me, the one you saved for. And I am using it to help other kids who are going through what I went through. I think you would be proud. The wind rustled through the trees. And for a moment I could almost hear my father's voice. We are proud, sweetheart. We always knew you would do something great. I wiped my tears and smiled. I miss you both every day. But I am okay now. Better than okay. And I want you to know that the money you saved did not go to waste. It might not have paid for my college, but it taught me something more valuable. Taught me resilience, determination, the importance of fighting for what matters. So in a way, you still gave me everything I needed. There are people who will read this story and wonder why I did not sue. Why I did not take Miriam to court. Why I did not fight harder to get that money back. And the truth is, I thought about it many times. But I realized something important. Suing her would have kept me tied to her. Tied to the past. Tied to the anger. And I did not want that. I wanted freedom. I wanted to move forward. To build something new. Something that was mine alone. And you cannot do that when you are looking backward. Besides, I got my justice. Maybe not in a courtroom, but in life. In success. In the relationships I built, the people I helped, the legacy I am creating. That is worth more than any settlement could ever be. So here I am, 35 years old, running a successful company, leading a program that has changed thousands of lives, surrounded by people who value integrity, hard work, and compassion. And every year, I send that Christmas card to Aunt Miriam with the same message. You taught me everything I needed to know about money and payback. Because she did. She taught me that money is just paper. Comes and goes. What matters is what you build with it. The lives you touch. The difference you make. And she taught me about payback too. That it is not about revenge. It is about rising so high that the person who tried to keep you down can only watch in awe. This is my story. A story of betrayal, survival, and ultimate triumph. A story about refusing to let the worst moment of your life define you. A story about choosing kindness, even when you have every reason to choose bitterness. And most importantly, a story about understanding that the best revenge is not hurting the person who hurt you. It is building a life so beautiful, so meaningful, so impactful that their actions become nothing more than a footnote in your success story. My name is Lydia Kerrigan, and I am living proof that what breaks you can also make you stronger than you ever imagined possible. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, no matter what you have been through, no matter who has betrayed you, no matter what has been stolen from you, you have the power to build something incredible from those ashes. Do not let anyone convince you otherwise. If you found this story inspiring, please subscribe to our channel for more real-life stories of resilience, redemption, and triumph. Your support helps us share these important messages with others who need to hear them. Thank you for being part of this journey.